So I thought I would share a little story for all of y'all out there with a Gen 3 Prius about something I just struggled with that might be of help. This may not be your issue, but if it is, it could be a much simpler fix than you think. I have a 2010 Prius with 320,000 miles on it now, original hybrid battery. Only issue I've ever had out of it, other than routine maintenance, is the standard cleaning out your EGR system. And then I did have the head gasket failure, which I replaced myself about 30,000 miles ago. Been doing great. Driving home 2 days ago, got the old yellow triangle hybrid system failure message popped up. All kinds of lights popped up, and luckily I have a reader in my car, so I immediately opened up the reader app to see what codes were being thrown. Engine shut down. It switched battery power, and I drove probably roughly about a half a mile till I got to a good spot to pull over. I did show about 30 miles left on my fuel, so I knew I was getting lower on gas, but I've driven it past zero numerous times, so I genuinely didn't think it had anything to do with gas, because again, I've let it get all the way to zero, drove it probably another 30-40 miles past zero, and still didn't run out of gas. So no reason for me to think otherwise. You probably see where this story's going. So I get codes P3190 and P0A0F, which is, one is engine failure to start, and the other one was something like poor engine performance. So I'm sitting there stuck. I clear the codes to see if I could potentially get the car going, get home. I clear the codes, go to restart the car. It sounds like it's restarting. Very tricky on a Prius. Sounds like the engine's starting up. It's really not. Was not aware of this. Never knew this. So it tricks you thinking, again, you don't think you're out of gas because the engine sounds like it starts up. But then after roughly 5 to 8 seconds, your engine will shut back down, and all the codes and engine malfunction, blah, blah, blah message all pops up again. So I'm like, great, I got a real problem here. So luckily a buddy of mine helps me tow the car back home. Researching these codes, looks like you have about 8 different possibilities of what the problem could be. I don't put gas in it right away. I was going to, but then so I'm like, no, surely that's not it. So my EGR system was due for a cleaning anyway. It was already throwing the code again about poor circulation in my EGR system. So I knew it was that time for me to clean that out anyway. So one of the main causes of these codes is I forget what it's called. Your one sensor that checks your mass airflow sensor. Sorry, brain fart. So one thing for you to definitely check is your mass airflow sensor. Clean it, put it back in. It's very simple, quick to do. Get some mass airflow sensor cleaner. Do not use brake cleaner. It is too harsh. Do not use it. Use mass airflow sensor cleaner. Try that. Simple try. I tried that, didn't work. I needed to clean anyway. So like I said I'm going to take everything apart. I'm going to strip it down, which I've done several times already, so I've gotten very good at it. I did everything. I pulled everything you could pull. I cleaned my EGR cooler, my EGR valve, the EGR pipe, my intakes, cleaned all that out, my fuel system thing down there. My brain's going today. Cleaned that out. I pulled my spark plugs. I went ahead and put new plugs. It was due for new plugs anyway. I put new spark plugs in. I cleaned my fuel injectors. Pretty much, I mean, anything you can take off the engine, I cleaned it. So, did everything, put it all back together, hoping it was like my mass airflow sensor or something like that. What do you know? Didn't work. At this point, another critical point, my hybrid battery, if you have the Toyota Prius app, very good app to have, showed that my hybrid battery life was down to 8%. Since I drove it for about a half a mile before I finally parked it, I depleted my hybrid battery. This is not good. You deplete your hybrid battery too far, you now don't have a way to get your engine cranked up. So that could be a big problem. So make sure you get these codes. Do not keep trying to start your car. You're going to deplete your hybrid battery about 1%, they say, every time you try. So the point I forgot to make a second ago, it sounds like your engine's starting up when you try. It is not. It is the hybrid battery cranking your engine, which sounds like it's running, but it tries cranking it for like 5 to 8 seconds, and then it realizes the engine isn't starting, so it shuts it down. Your engine is not running. It is just being spun by your hybrid battery. So be very careful with that. Luckily, I got all the way down at the end of this story to about 6% on my hybrid battery. Luckily, it still cranked my engine up the last time. To try to shorten this story, I thought it was the fuel pump. A lot of people say fuel pump's another big one with these codes. Again, I have a ton of miles on this car. At this point, I'm like, it's got to be my fuel pump. I tried to test for voltage. I pull the fuel pump wiring harness off, and I'm trying to test to make sure that I'm getting power to my fuel pump. I cannot find anywhere online where it shows which wire on the harness is the hot wire that gives power. So I could not figure out which wire I needed to test to verify this. Well, I tried all these different ones, could not get a reading on any of it. So I thought, great, I'm not getting power to my fuel pump. So I messed with that forever. I'm checking fuses, relays, trying to figure this out. Eventually, I couldn't figure it out. So eventually I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a huge chance here. My battery's already down to 6%. I'm just gonna put some gas in it. I went and got some gas. I put 4 gallons in to make sure I had plenty in there. I'm just gonna put 4 gallons of gas in this car and try to crank it one more time and see what happens. Cross my fingers. Lo and behold, it starts cranking. I guess because I drained all my fuel out of my lines doing my fuel injector cleaning and all that. When it first started up, it was like, like it was shaking, misfiring, sounded horrible. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I thought I missed a wire or something, hooking it back up. I looked around, couldn't find anything wrong. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. Hit the button again. It shook really bad again for about 2 seconds, and then it smoothed out. And it sounded like it was running. So I'm like, is it running? just waiting for that error code to pop back up again, and it didn't. I looked in the Toyota Prius app, it showed it was charging. My battery pretty quickly got to 20%. Another tidbit for you here. I'm sitting there though, it sounds like it's running, the engine isn't throwing a code, but when I'm hitting the gas pedal, it's not doing anything. It should be revving the engine, right? I'm like, okay, seems to be running, but I'm hitting the gas, it's not doing anything. So I'm just sitting there watching the Toyota Prius app, and I see the charge still going up. So I'm like, it's gotta be running, it's charging. I just keep hitting the gas pedal. I'm just constantly tapping the gas pedal, just watching it charge. Eventually about 35% charge, the numbers change from red to white. So I'm like, okay, this must be getting in the safe zone. And then right around then, I think 35 to 40%, all of a sudden the gas took off. Then I'm hitting the gas pedal and all of a sudden the engine starts revving. So evidently, if your battery's too low, it still won't allow you to drive until you have enough charge to really be able to deactivate the engine. I'm guessing here, I mean, that's what it did. So, once, lesson learned, just so y'all know that too, about 35-40% charge, your gas pedal will start working. So at this point, I went ahead and took it for a quick little drive just to verify everything. Everything ran great. I've been driving it now, as you can see, all day today. Running great. No problems, no codes. So, I would say, evidently, the sending unit in my fuel pump is not working correctly, because before, again, I could drive past 0, I was fine. Now, I had 30 miles left, and it ran out of gas. So something changed. The sending unit isn't working like it used to. So I would just say, for safety's sake, you get these codes, if there's even a chance that you're low on fuel, do that first. Before you do anything else, put several gallons of gas in, probably at least 3 or 4. And try that first, because that may be all it is. So evidently, once you deplete your battery down too low, it's going to throw all these codes. It's going to look like a major problem. Didn't know that was a thing. So hoping this video will help any of you out there know that is a possibility. If gas isn't your problem, check your mass airflow sensor, clean it, replace it, try that. It's supposed to be a big one. If that's not it, good chance it's probably your fuel pump. Could be several other things, but from what I've learned, those are the most likely. But I'm just hoping that this mess I just went through for 2 days, only to find out I was out of gas, hopefully this helps somebody. So if you happen to have any questions or anything, feel free to comment. I'll do my best to reply. Hope this helps somebody out. Have a good day.